The Stranger Things Season 5 documentary just came out, and well, I'm upset. Louder! I'm upset! Now, this video is going to be split up into 2 parts, because apparently I can't manage video times that well and started to unlock the entire hidden secrets about this documentary and the entirety of Stranger Things, so stay tuned for that. There are a lot of places that I can start off with this video, but I think the best way to get into it would be to just remind people that a lot of what I will be saying in this video is my opinion. That's not going to dictate how I describe this show, but things get pretty heated, so I just want everyone to know that none of this is personal, and I wish the best to everyone mentioned in this video. So let's discuss why this documentary made me so upset. Editor Enchanted here. Netflix didn't want to wine and dine me before they, So I had to replace all documentary footage with show footage. So sorry for the inconvenience, but this video in its entirety is the same as my original vision. Make sure to like, comment, hype, join my Discord server, and subscribe, because maybe if you all did it, I wouldn't have to remind you every video. So when I heard that there was going to be a Season 5 documentary coming out, I became very happy. Not because I'm actually insane and thought Episode 9 was coming, but instead, I really wanted to understand the circumstances behind the scenes, and overall, it does seem like this is a very connected and happy crew of people wanting to make something for people to enjoy. Oh. I think the most comedic part and pretty ironic moment too, I noticed, actually happens in the first couple of minutes. And just like my previous videos, I'll be leaving timestamps in the documentary themselves if you need to fact check. So at 2:24, one of the Duffers says this.
It's terrifying because you see these shows that people love and adore, and the ending falters.
This really painted the picture of what the rest of the documentary was going to be about. I went in expecting to get a little upset, but this really proved to me that the only possible way for this documentary to be received well would be if the finale was received well. And let's just say it's not necessarily the worst rated episode of the show, but definitely not the best. This is also immediately reinforced when they say this.
You can't leave anything dangling, you have to wrap everything up.
It's pretty disheartening to hear them reflect on this, but then not do anything about it, and that's made a little worse at 8:47 when they say,
probably should have killed some of you off.
But I'm getting ahead of myself, because here comes the first full opinion of the video. Ready, everyone? Stranger Things fans, get your pitchforks ready. I mostly like this documentary. I think getting to see all of the moving parts being produced was really entertaining and extremely interesting. So yeah, I think the different departments really worked well together outside of the writer's room. Speaking of the writer's room, holy mother of pearl, why did they think this was a good idea to include any of this in the documentary? Just to reiterate my first opinion, I said I mostly liked the documentary, and besides a couple of other gripes I'll get into, the writer's room is definitely not in the majority of the stuff I liked. At 3:24, little did I know, but all my frustration would come from these scenes. The scenes I was most anticipating because I really wanted to know what was going on with the story.
We went into production without having a finished script for the finale.
Ah, there we go. Glad we could get some confirmation. In case you don't understand the severity of this, the Duffer brothers and the other writers were writing a season that was leading to nowhere for a while, and it makes more sense why they left so much stuff for the finale to solve. But the salt in the wound is the first hour is really the ending of the show's mystery. After all, we just heard they didn't have a finale when they started. Before we move on from the first 5 minutes of this documentary, it's clear that this was made for the reality that the Stranger Things season finale is declared as the greatest finale ever made, making it extremely self-aware, but almost in the opposite way of how things went. It has numerous moments where they explain how hard it is to choose a route to go down, and I assume the expected reaction was to have pity on the writers for expressing how difficult it was. Sadly, none of us have that because season 4 and 5 both have around a 3-year gap in between their previous seasons, and somehow season 4 is considered one of the best seasons of the show, and season 5 is considered the worst season. I do have to give credit to the documentary for being a love letter to the entire series, giving insight on how filming was 10 years ago and how it shaped the community of creatives as seen throughout, especially seen when everyone starts getting very emotional later on. Again though, and something I promise I won't reiterate again, because it sure does like to reiterate in the documentary itself, but it keeps telling you how high the stakes are of ending off a series well, and when people who have seen the final product don't like it, it makes the documentary feel extremely out of touch and less satisfying, even though this was made before all of the backlash came in. Moving on from that, let's get into opinion 2. They should not have revealed at 29:08 that they were trying to make Karen Wheeler into an almost Sarah Connor copy. Sarah Connor, who so happens to be in Stranger Things, is a character from the Terminator movies, and I genuinely cannot believe they thought this was an important character plot point to put in. This wastes time. You know, the thing we already had zero left of. Karen Wheeler was never built up to be a character like this, and there was no call for this to ever happen. It generally makes a lot of the choices in Escape from Camazotz, aka episode 6, feel extremely forced, because now we learn that this moment was meant to be cheered for, like she is anywhere near being as cool as Sarah Connor was. I think I'm going to be put into a hysteria episode, because you already have so many characters and so many characters sidelined for the sake of amplifying others, but her? You prioritize Karen Wheeler over Mike, Lucas, Jonathan, Steve, Robin, literally most other characters? I understand maybe you wanted Will to be cool this season, but Karen? I'm coming back to this later in the second part of the video, because I am not done talking about Will and Karen Wheeler's superhero arc. At 39:29, we're right back to the writer's room. This time, they actually explain why they don't kill characters off, and wouldn't you know it, they excuse the stakes of the show feeling low because they didn't want to jeopardize, and I quote, the fun of Stranger Things. Oh yeah, fun. Remember when we thought Hopper was dead and got the entire internet to cry during this one scene? Remember when our villain won and we thought for a moment Max was dead and the entirety of Hawkins had been destroyed? Remember back in season 1 when Will was abducted and we watched Joyce lose her mind over and over and go through multiple mental breakdowns? Ah yes. Fun. Maybe I'm the crazy one here, but I wouldn't say the reason I watch this show is because it's fun. I personally watch it because the characters are deep and emotional, and sure, I can have fun while watching the show, but this idea that it was made only for fun is new to me after years upon years of not having fun, but still loving the show. 43:52, this is the timestamp for what I believe is the worst part of the documentary. Something so baffling that I paused it to jot down the timestamp while watching it for the first time. Now, I don't want to act like I'm an Abyss expert when it comes to Stranger Things. It's clear the writer's room isn't either, but what I broke down with the mindless flare back in my last Stranger Things video, I said in shorter words that the concept is too rushed to really get off the ground and propel. This moment showed me why exactly this final fight could have never propelled. Yes, we like the giant monster. Yes, we like that there's a chase. Yes, we like that there's almost all of the gang going up against it, but there's no stakes, or what seems to be any imminent threat throughout the entire thing. That's where we have a problem. So the moment of shock on my face when this guy who's named Paul Ditchter talked about how there needs to be monsters in the abyss, only for the other writer named Kate Trefry, I don't know how to pronounce it, to suggest that we might have Demogorgon fatigue, and that's the entire reason why they shouldn't include any of them in the, you know, final battle. I was, a little, I don't know, upset? Hey, George Lucas, let's get rid of these Stormtrooper guys. Let's just have the whole final fight be Luke versus Vader and Palpatine, but there's no force to stop the rest of the rebels from destroying the Death Star. I'm not even going to dare treat you, the person watching this video, like you're stupid. You should know, without me even analyzing the logistics of it, why this is the worst possible explanation as to why the demos shouldn't be there, and a really weak excuse to write them out of the plot like they never even existed. Well, anyways, alright everyone, I forgot what opinion stance we're on, but at 1:15:27, we get a viral clip online of it being confirmed that some of the final episode was filmed before the script was written. Now, I must admit, they do give a pretty good excuse that because summer was running out, they needed to get these shots before fall came, but the real reason I stopped us here is because although the Devers are getting so much hate online, I actually find it sad that this documentary, the documentary that's supposed to make all of this look good, is giving more reason for people to hate them. Keep in mind, they never had to release this, or they had the power to remove the aspects that are making so many people mad online, but they didn't. I thought I'd mention it here because I am going to talk about this in just a couple seconds, but I just have one more thing to get out of my way. My final talk about the writer's room is that at 1:17:41, it's nice to see that they really sat down and tried their best. From the looks of things, they did not rush this episode, but they definitely pushed some of the wrong ideas that could have been at play. And this is where I want to get into part 2 of the video, the one that I urge any hater of Stranger Things to stop watching because what I'm going to be talking about isn't necessarily towards you. So if you had enough for today and just want to duck out, perfectly fine, and I hope you enjoyed the video. For anyone else though, I need to talk about the other huge reason this video is made and the other reason why I'm extremely upset. So look, I know you clicked on this video because you didn't like how Stranger Things ended. I also disliked it, so don't worry about that, but I genuinely think we're going a little too far here. I can only imagine the personal harassment not just the Duffer Brothers are receiving, but everyone a part of the crew, including the children actors who most likely haven't experienced something like this before. This documentary is fueling the fire. This video, as I was writing it, is also fueling the fire, and now as people start claiming Stranger Things was actually never good in the first place, and now that the conversation of this controversial series is dying out, I need to say my piece. None of this video is directed to anyone in particular. None of the writers, and I mean none of them, are people I want to see be sent death threats for their work. Everyone needs to understand that just because we dislike something doesn't mean it's acceptable to just go harass people as a part of the process like they are the sole reason and they purposely tried to feed us crap. Going back to my talk on Karen Wheeler and Will, I think we need a reminder that these are real people playing fictional characters. Neither of these people had any say in what their character arc would be. That's up to the writers, and I think we should all agree that harassing the people reading the script of someone else makes no sense. Even the people who wrote the script have families, have lives outside of Stranger Things, and although I don't see anything wrong in criticizing their personal work, to criticize them on a personal level like they're villains from a Disney movie is just so pathetic. I can't believe that I have to even say this, and the backlash to this documentary has really painted a good picture of how hostile people can really be. I am not defending any of the poorly made choices in Stranger Things, but instead defending the people behind it and the people that exist outside of the writer's room or the sets. I think the best way to put it is like how we all made judgments on Derek before he was introduced. I mean, sure, I understand it, and I was one of those people because we shouldn't really be including more characters, especially when the show is coming to an end, but holy, why are we harassing a child for a role they have in a show? Remember how most of us ended up loving Derek by the end of the series? I am truly disgusted by some of the people sending so much hate because sure, these people signed a contract to be part of the show, but that doesn't give us the pass to say that we want the directors to be publicly executed for their season. This is a hard lesson to learn because this video will do nothing to combat it other than cause people who think they're in the right to suddenly harass me for exposing them. But if we don't address this, then next time we're disappointed, we're just giving people the right to just be a huge piece of shit, covering it up like it's valid criticism. I think overall the documentary had its bad moments, but some people, not everyone who hated the finale or the final season of Stranger Things, but some people need to reflect on the stuff they do and remember that it's just a show at the end of the day. No matter how much I personally hate to say that a film is just a film, it really applies here. Thanks for listening to my rant, everybody, and hopefully my next video will be more uplifting. With that said, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye.